What's going on, guys? Real quick, I'm in New York City this weekend, so I want to visit some really good restaurants. So if y'all have any in mind, please do comment below. I'm born in New York City, and I've been to a lot of restaurants and stuff out here, but you know, New York City, man, it has endless choices. So if you got any, just let me know. With that being said, I wanted to talk to you guys about what's going on, you know, in the stock market. I've been telling you guys like crazy, heavily, to double up your dollar cost averaging, to put more than you usually do. Right now is the time to do it. And it's probably gonna be the time to do it this whole year, to be honest. So right now, everything's gone up. Man, things have gone up 30, 40, 50% from the lows, from just a few weeks ago. It's insane. I'm not saying, you know, double up your DCA right now, obviously not, but continue the dollar cost average, right? But when you have crazy drops, like drops we haven't seen in years, you know, that's the best time to buy more than you usually do, because everything's cheap and you don't know when it's gonna stop, when it's gonna stop dropping. So, you know, you just dollar cost average, and when things start going up again, you know, you adjust, you go back to what your dollar cost average typically is. But don't bet against America, bro. Don't bet against the USA. That's crazy. We're like, if you know macroeconomics, you know what's up, bro. You know what's up, and you should have the conviction to know when people are scared, when headlines is the reason why indexes and stocks are dropping and going all over the place. Literally, Trump can tweet tomorrow he doesn't know what he's doing with the tariffs. They're not negotiating anymore. Everything will go crashing down 10, 15, 20%. That's how much power he has right now. But if you know that's what's happening, that's what's creating the change, the price action, then you know it has nothing to do with how good these businesses are. Whether these businesses have high earnings, or they're gonna beat earnings, or they're growing or not. And that's ultimately, in the long term, what matters. Maybe not in the short term. If you're a day trader and all that stuff, in the short term it's not, but in the long term, it is. And, you know, real estate moves are really, really slow. So there's not a lot of, you know, you can still buy and stuff, but it's just, there's less headaches and all that with the stock market. So I highly recommend, if you don't know how to invest long term, and I'm not talking about starting a hedge fund, some crazy shit like that, bro. I'm just talking about investing, dollar cost averaging into the indexes, or a few of your favorite companies that you know a lot about. And I'm talking about, you know, the financial statements, you know, you know the financials of the company. You listen to the earnings calls. Like, you got to be a nerd about this brand or this company that you want to invest in. If not, just invest in the indexes and dollar cost average. This isn't investment advice. This is just what I'm doing. Okay, my bad. Not my bad, because I didn't do nothing wrong. All right, but yeah, man, what I'm doing is 90% of my time and resources should be spent on the things, the skill sets that I already get results from. Okay, my businesses, from marketing, those type of things. 20% of it is doing more better. I got this from Alex Hormozi. 10% is doing new. And you know, if you're not really an entrepreneur like that, you don't want to start business and stuff, what that means is, if you're a nurse, focus on making as much money as you can as a nurse. Whether that means you have to invest in new skill sets and in your education. You need to ask for a pay raise. You need to go, you know, you need to relocate and get a job in a better opportunity. Whatever that means, that's what you got to focus on, because that's the driver of your wealth. What you do with that cash flow is the next step. And that's just dollar cost averaging long term into indexes, the stock market. Max out your Roth. If you get a 401k, max that out, whatever the match is, max it out. Then max out your Roth IRA, and then spend invest as much as you can into indexes. And then once you start getting that routine going, and you automate a bunch of this, because I just automated, and I try to invest as much as I can while still having a life. And that's the beauty of this, is you can build real wealth in 10 years by just focusing on your main thing, and then dollar cost averaging. And then if you start getting conviction and you start getting comfortable with it, what I would suggest to you is to learn how to trade options, okay? And what I've been doing is a combination of long-term options, a year out, or 30-day options. But the only thing that I do with 30-day options, I don't do calls and stuff like that. What I do is I sell puts on companies that I would want to keep long-term anyways. So what I'll do is I'll sell puts at a strike price that's just amazing, that I would love to buy at. And I'm only doing companies that I would keep long-term. So the Teslas of the world, whatever that company is. I like Taiwan Semiconductors, at TSM. And not everybody loves that company, but you want to look for things with a moat that has good financials, that you believe in their technology, and you think they're going to be around 5 years from now. So then you start selling puts on those, you start buying call options long-term on those, and but you got to study this stuff. You got to learn this stuff, right? And what happens over time, why you build wealth this way, is because if you focus on your main thing and increasing, what ends up happening is you start making 1% income in your field. And when you make 1% income in your field and your lifestyle doesn't match 1% income, that means you have money, you have margin, you have money to invest. And so what I mean by that is, let's say you're making 100 grand now a year. Let's say you're making 100,000 a year now. If you're not, that would be my focus, is try to figure out how I can get there. And let's say you're living on $50,000, $60,000 a year. That means you got 40 grand, and I'm just for easy math, we're gonna assume this is after taxes, okay? That's $40,000. Well, dollar cost average that money, man, okay? And then the next step is, how can I increase from 100 to 120, 130, 140, right? You increase your lifestyle a little bit because you deserve it, right? You gotta have a life. The journey's just important as the destination, because tomorrow's not promised. You can get hit by a bus, right? So yeah, increase your lifestyle. But if you go from 100 to 150 in the next couple of years, and your lifestyle was 60, maybe now your lifestyle's 75, 80. But if you're at 150, now instead of $40,000 a year that you can invest, you have 60, 70. And bro, I'd be trying to get to the point where I could invest 100,000 a year. You could be the shittiest investor ever and still be a millionaire in a decade, in less than a decade, in 5 years. And through that time that you've been dollar cost averaging and you've been learning how to sell puts and buy call options long term, when you get to the point where you look up and you look at your screen, your brokerage account, and you've amassed 7 figures, you'll also have the skill sets, the wisdom to compound that by a mile. But chances are you won't have to. Your lifestyle will increase like crazy. Everything grows. The journey's enjoyable. Everything grows. Everything gets better. And it's not sexy. It's not overnight. But you'll be surprised if you stick to this plan, what you can do in 5 to 10 years, okay? So I teach barbers how to get to 6 figures and build wealth. That's what I do now for a living, pretty much. And then I have brands. I also own businesses, right? But those businesses are my investments. They're my snowballs. And they're growing. And part of why they continue to grow is because I don't leech off of them. I don't take money out of them to buy frivolous things, right? And so, if business is something that you want to do, add a splash of a business in there. Add a splash of anything on top of that is just gonna increase your wealth that much faster. What else I got? Like before even starting a business, just know that is your base. That's your foundation, and that's a strong foundation to have. Anything you do on top of that, as long as it's smart, minimal risk, high reward, those type of opportunities, you're gonna do really, really well in life. If you're 20 and you follow this plan, by the time you're 30, you'll be living like 99% of people can't live. And that's dope. That's fast. But a lot of y'all want to do the shit overnight, and you're gonna be continuing to try to do the shit overnight every single year. And you see some success, you get excited, then you go back to reality. It's not as sweet as it was. Then you see some success and you get back to reality. And you're gonna do this for 10 years is gonna go by, And you're not that much better off than you were 10 years ago. Man, this is wisdom speaking to you. So, bro, whatever your main thing is, if you're a freaking firefighter, work your way up. If you're a engineer, work your way up. Whatever that means, I don't know. If you're a nurse, if you're a barber, if you own a pizzeria, I don't know what that means to y'all, but you guys know. You know what you got to do to level up in whatever your field is. So do it. That's the answer. So that you have the extra capital to put into the markets. And if you don't understand the stock market, you need to learn the stock market. And I highly suggest you don't day trade. That's another job. That's stressful. I want y'all to live a great life. Just learn the Warren Buffett way, bro. Buying good companies, indexes, bet on America, bet on emerging markets, whatever it is, you know, that you feel you have high conviction is. That your conviction is what makes that investment low risk, high reward. Because not everybody's gonna see the opportunities that you see if you have high conviction in things, if you focus on the things that you know. So you gotta learn the stocks, you gotta learn stock market, okay? If you like real estate and you have a competitive advantage with real estate because you know construction or you know you're a contractor, shit, why the hell ain't you? And then once you figure that out and you have some time, use 10% of your time to learn how to trade options. And what I mean by that is selling puts. I like 30 days or a year out, depending on my conviction, depending on what the markets look like. And then buying call options. And I like a year out for call options. That's just my opinion. That's just my, that's just what feels right to me. And that's just your foundation. You're gonna start sprinkling little things like life insurance. I'm talking about term. I'm not talking about, infinite banking and all that shit. We're keeping it simple, baby. We're keeping it simple, and we're keeping it, in a way that anybody could do it. Okay, get you some term life insurance because you don't know if you're gonna get hit by a bus. Especially if you got a family, you got responsibilities. And then for the love of God, please go get an accountant. Please go get an accountant. I want it, especially if you're self-employed. If you're a 1099, go get an accountant. If you have a W-2, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. If you got a side business and it actually makes money, go get an accountant. If you have a W-2 that's a high-paying W-2, go get an accountant or a tax strategist, something. But especially if you're self-employed, you have to be able to leverage and get and be bankable. And one of the easiest plays is just to buy the home you live in every few years. Make sure you buy with a margin of safety. Make sure you get a good deal, and make sure you're in it for the long term. It doesn't matter what's going on in the markets. As long as you're buying in a good economy, not a good economy, but a good city, a growing area. Like if the area that you're in is losing jobs, don't buy there. You want to buy in places that are growing, jobs are growing, that type of thing. It helps you mitigate risk. At this point, I'm just kind of going all over the place. If you guys like these conversations, let me know. Ask some questions in the comments, and I'll make videos like this every day.